the Berthiume TV voice of the Diamondbacks, who will be with Bob Brenly. Do you guys have spring training broadcasts scheduled? Do you know?
We have 3 TV games that we are doing. They figured out that nobody around here actually watches them because they're all out at the games all over the valley, which is terrific. So we do 3 games just to sort of get our feet wet. We'll do a number of games on radio, and we also do some webcasts this year. I think the weekend spring training games are on radio, and I think there's a Tuesday, Wednesday deal where we do some stuff you can listen to or watch on dbacks.com. So it's in a variety of venues here over the course of the spring.
How'd you become a baseball guy when you talk about how baseball's always been in you? Where did that start?
It was, as a little kid, it was always just my favorite thing. I grew up in Boston. I grew up actually like right outside Foxborough Stadium in one town over, Medfield, Massachusetts. And it just was always my favorite thing. And I was thrilled to get on to baseball tonight so I could get away from the Jazz Warriors highlights and no more Knicks and no more NASCAR, and which is, if you like it, that's fine, God bless, but it's just not for me.
You weren't a Patriot guy in
I was a big Patriot guy. I was at the snowplow game.
John Smith?
I was at the Mark Henderson snowplow game with my girlfriend. I was in high school, and something I've never forgiven her for. I think it may be actually when we broke up. She was freezing, and we left at halftime. Yeah, missed it.
You're out of here.
Yep, we were
done.
But that was at old Foxborough Stadium, Foxborough/Sullivan/Schaefer Stadium, and anybody that's from the area knows what I'm talking about. And it had just those. It was just a long row of the metal bleachers. There were no seats, nothing. It was just metal bleachers on. You know, when you're sitting there in the end of December and it's freezing and.
Sam Bam Cunningham out of USC. Daryl Stingley. They had some Patriots had some really, really good teams in the late 70s, some excellent teams when Steve Grogan came in, and they had Russ Francis, who was such a good receiver, and great defenders back there, Raymond Claiborne and guys like that. John Hanna.
Mike Haynes. John Hanna was an early draft pick for them, Alabama. Yeah, Bill Lankitis, who was a dentist was their center. Yeah, and they all lived around our town because we were the next town over from Foxborough, so... It was cool. Yeah, we lived next to Raymond Berry for a while, and Ron Earhart when he was the coach there.
Who was your Red Sox? Who was your guy that you looked at as a Red Sox? Was it Yaz in that era?
Yaz. Yeah. Yaz is and I came in late on the whole Yaz run. I mean, I was born in 1964, so by the time I started really paying attention, it was early 70s, and that was near the end of Yaz.
Jim Rice?
I got about 10 years of Yaz. Yeah, Jim Rice. Dewey, I was a big Dewey Evans guy, who still should be in the Hall of Fame, I think.
Great arm.
Bill James wrote a tremendous, I'd encourage anyone to look that up online. Bill James wrote a whole long dissertation on why Dewey Evans should be in the Hall of Fame. Tremendous arm. Look at his numbers. I don't think anybody hit more home runs in the 80s than Dwight Evans. I could be wrong, but I think that's true. So I had a variety of guys. But, yeah, I'm a Yaz guy. He's you have to have grown up. You sort of grew up with his presence, and you always heard about Yaz in 67, and your parents and older people would explain to you what it meant and what that season meant. That was really the launch of Red Sox Nation, and it was nothing up until then. That's when everyone started really paying attention.
How many times have you done games in Fenway, do you think?
Never.
Never have.
Have I gone to a game?
No, broadcast.
Oh, none. I've only done 7 games ever.
Ever?
Yeah. The first time I ever did a game was the craziest game of our generation. We remember the end of the 2011 season. This is how, now imagine me. I'm trying to figure out how can I transition from the studio guy to the play-by-play guy. I want to be at the ballpark. I'm ready to make the move. I've been in the studio now for 25 years.
Read enough prompters, had enough people run in with scripts and changes and scores.
And Brad, you know, you're in there for 25 years. Eventually you want to get out and you want to get into it. And I'd gone to the World Series and the All-Star game and some spring training, but never, like, I want to be on the beat, doing the games in the booth every day at the ballpark. So at the end of the 2011 season, everybody remembers that once-in-a-generation thing.
Crazy day.
And that last day was on a Wednesday. And on Monday, my bosses at ESPN figured out, okay, we're all set up to have this once-in-a-lifetime conclusion to the season. We need to not be at one of these games on Wednesday night. We need to be at all 4. There were 4 critical games. The Red Sox were in Baltimore. The Rays were hosting the Yankees. It was, help me out here,
those are the 2 I had.
Yeah, Cardinals in Houston, and I think it was Braves-Phillies. So on Monday, ESPN and all the higher-ups are trying to figure out, and you know, it takes an army of people to televise one game. How do we get these 4 different armies to these 4 sites with all the equipment and the trucks and the cameras and the cables and everything? How do we get them to where they need to be by Wednesday? It's Monday afternoon, so they have some meetings, and I've never done a game in my life. Never. Not one.
Did you even know they were thinking about putting you in this?
No. So they're trying to figure out how to get it, and they pretty much got it all worked out. But there's one game that they just can't get anybody to do. They were going to get Gary Thorne, but he's got a commitment for the Orioles, and this guy's going to do it, and he can't do it. And they were going to have Carl Ravitch do it, but it was a Jewish holiday, so Carl was out of the mix. And they literally went down to the last guy, and it was me. So Monday night at 10 o'clock, I'm doing the 10 and 12 baseball tonight that night. My boss, Nick Davis, comes up to me, and he says, do you want to do the Rays-Yankee game on Wednesday? And I immediately got scared to death. But I said, oh, my God, yeah, of course. What do I? He's like, call Travel, book a ticket. So I called the Travel. They book you a ticket. I did the 10 o'clock baseball tonight, did the 12 o'clock baseball tonight, did some segments, got home at about 2 a.m., didn't go to sleep, did all my research. I just cranked up my computer. I'm there doing all my little notes, getting prepared. I was on a plane at 7 that morning to St. Pete. No sleep, did the game. I was down there with John Kruk. And I'm thrilled. I'm like the kid in the candy store. And it's a 7-0 game. It's a crappy game. And Crucky's like, well, Bert, your first game didn't turn out to be. And I didn't care. I was just happy to be.
Sure.
I don't care if it's 20-0. I'm having a ball. I just wanted to get my feet wet and do this. And then all of a sudden, here they come. It's 7-0 in the 7th inning. Here, Longoria hits a home run. Here comes Dan Johnson, 2 outs in the 9th inning. Home run, ties the game down the line. We're going to extras. And I'm scared. And I'm just
And you've seen the other games, too,
yeah,
so
and
you
we're
know what's going on.
And there's a rain delay in Baltimore. The Red Sox and Orioles are on hold because that's the game everyone in Tampa's watching. It's a rain delay. So now they're coming off. So now we go from B-net to A-net on ESPN. We're the national game. And my bosses are all texting me. I'm scared to death. I'm trying to focus and not screw it up. And they're busting my chops on my cell phone. Hey, you're like, I'm trying to focus here. So quit bothering me. And I get this unbelievable game. And then sure enough, I get what turns out to be the Bobby Thompson game of our generation. Longoria hits the home run. And the funny thing for me was, first game I ever did, and if you remember, if anybody can picture that in your heads, the Dan Johnson home run that tied it in the 9th went right down the line. It's a smidge over the fence. It might be fair, it might be foul, it might be high enough, it might not. And Longoria's was even more of a bullet down the line, down the opposite line, went left field. So even then I couldn't get a break. I couldn't get the towering 500-foot home run where I go, there it goes, a home run. I'm like, the ball might be gone, home run. And I'm thinking, and the ball's sailing through, and I know what's going on. I'm not stupid. This is it, man. I know as the ball is going, this could be it. And I'm watching the ball go, and I've got my eyes locked on the umpire, and I'm not saying a word till the umpire signals. And I'm just thinking, just be right, just make sure you're right, don't screw it up. And I wait for the umpire to twirl his finger around, and there it was. That was my first game. I whacked John Kruk on the back of the neck. His neck is still hurting to this day. I hit him so hard, I think, and it was a great time. That was my first ever broadcast, ever. And then I did some spring training games last year, did some College World Series. Doug Glanville and I we really lucked it. This is the funny thing. We went down and did Stony Brook LSU, and I don't remember if anybody remembers this, but it was the college baseball game of the year. It was a best-of-3 super regional at LSU. Stony Brook from Long Island had that great run.
It's a great story.
Cinderella team. They go to Baton Rouge, and they win the best-of-3 to get to the College World Series. So Doug Glanville and I are doing the super regional, and LSU is down a run in the bottom of the 9th in game 1, and 2-out home run ties it. Stony Brook takes the lead in the 10th. Another home run for LSU, bottom of the 10th, ties it. Stony Brook comes back, takes the lead again in the 11th. LSU, for the 3rd consecutive inning, hits another home run to keep the game going. And once again, all my so-called friends at ESPN are texting me like, what is your deal? You got the Longoria game, now you got this crazy game? Yeah. And that's sort of been my run. So hopefully it'll carry over, and we'll have some amazing Diamondbacks comebacks this year when I do the games.
Good to talk to you about the team after this timeout. Short timeout here. Steve Berthiume in studio.